everybody, welcome back live at Drew's house, Joppa Afternoon Drive. Hope everybody is doing well. I am pleased to be joined by the mayor of Newburyport, Sean Reardon, in the house. Hello, Mayor. How you doing?
Hey, Drew. How you doing?
Good. It's been a little while.
It has. I was thinking that when I came in. Yeah. We haven't hooked up for a while.
It was cold the last time I was hanging out with you.
That's right.
It's not. Well, it actually hasn't been the best weather here this week, but
the sun's out.
It's springtime,
looks like
right?
spring. Yep. Yeah. No, we're good.
Yeah, as long as it looks like we're getting there, I can feel it. It's a fun time of year. We're just kind of talking about that, right? It gets, it feels busy. Things are coming alive.
I feel like, once St. Patrick's Day hits, there's kind of like a switch in town, right?
Yeah.
And then the weather gets a little bit better, and again, we had some rain this weekend, but more people out and about, and we're finishing work up on State Street. We'll have parklets out soon, so we'll have outdoor dining, and the docks are in. So there's a lot of good things going on around the city.
We're coming off a show where the good folks at the Literary Festival were talking very highly about you.
Oh, that's great. No, that's Bethany and Vicky are great, and we're looking forward to that this weekend. I think it kicks off on Friday, which is good. So I'll see them Friday night. But that's just been a great event for many years, and having COVID kind of putting it more. It'd be nice to get them back together. I guess.
Yeah,
first time after COVID.
I didn't realize that was the first time because a lot of those things came back last year. A lot of those,
sure, and that was kind of, the way the timing was in the spring. They held off one more year, so it's going to be great to get them back out there this year.
No doubt about it. What is the biggest thing on your plate right now?
Well, we were just saying this, so it's been kind of a funny time. It's kind of like the calm before the budget storm, right?
Yes.
So, tonight, actually, we have the vote on the school committee budget. So the school committee will vote on their budget, and then that will get sent to me, and then I will present the entire budget to the city council the next meeting, which will be May 8th, to the city council. And then from then on out, there's a lot of night meetings, a lot of budget hearings that will take us into June for a final vote on the budget at the end of June.
If you're a mayor of a place like Newburyport, do you have to kind of be into the budget talks thing? Like, I'm not saying like you're not disinterested, but I can imagine like for some mayors, it's probably like it's a part of the job that I hate because you can't please everybody. But do you love it? I mean, when you're a mayor, it's all about especially getting elected mayor. It's all about priorities, right? So I mean, your budget should look like what you want to do and what you talked about during the campaign. So last year we focused on a couple different departments, and this year I'm trying to focus on some additional departments. Right, and so and we have limited funds that we're working with, right, which is why it's so important, I think, to get the school budget right first, and then you find a way to incorporate that in. And so the way I do the school budget, I don't take a vote on the school budget. That's kind of new, because it comes to me anyways. So I always thought it was funny that the mayor voted on the school committee budget when it just gets back to the mayor's office either way. But we've had good conversations on the school level, and I like it because I think being a new mayor, I try to instill on all my department heads, get creative, look at what you're doing, determine what's working, what's not working. If there's ways we can, reutilize funds for something else, for another priority, or for something else that we think might work, this is the opportunity to do it. So no doubt.
I think the budget process is a lot of just about telling stories about what's going on in each department and where we want them to go.
Gotcha. Oh, it's a nice way of spicing up the budget talk, so that's good. Yes, it represents real life. I like that.
But it's a process, I feel for my department heads and I feel for city council because it's a long month and a half or so of a lot of meetings and a lot of deep dives into what you're doing. But like I said, I think we're going to have a great budget this year. I'm really focusing on. I guess I can say the departments I'm really looking at to make a splash with this year is the planning department, IT. We have a new IT director that came on board in the fall, and he's been wonderful, James Pope, and DPS. So those are three departments I'm taking a really hard look at, and I'd like to give them some more resources next year.
Okay, very good. Good lay of the ground there. I know something I texted to you last week, and you said there was nothing to report. So many people have been talking about the possibility of the concerts things changing for this summer, possibly because of the power. What's the whole deal there? Give me the whole lay.
Sure. So one of the big projects going on this year is phase 1 of the Market Landing Park expansion. Yep. So the Andy Port, our planning director, is the project manager on that, and so that work is going. So the bids actually are still coming in for that, but that work could start I would say probably early June at this point, or sometime in June.
It's a big project.
It's a big project, and so what we're doing, again, this has been talked about for the last 60 years here in Newburyport. Is maybe taking some of those.
You didn't start this?
I didn't start this. No. So taking some of these parking spaces that we have on the waterfront and creating more green space. So that project is going to start. It's getting paid with Community Preservation Act funds, which was approved. So we're ready to move forward. But unfortunately, that means that there's probably going to be some disruptions down there. Now, my goal goal is to have, everything go on without a hitch. Big, huge events like, let's say Riverfest, for example, we met with them and they utilized so much of that parking lot area that it just didn't make sense that we were going to try to do that this year. But my feeling is everything else is that we should be able to do. So we have the city electrician working on power down there. So I mean, I don't think anything will be disrupted. Again, there was an article in the paper that I think got people, a little stirred up about it. More specific to Yankee homecoming, but I think there's more going on there than just concerts on the waterfront. So
Gotcha.
I think we're going to be okay.
All right, so no panic. Do not hit the panic.
Do not hit the panic button. I mean, I think the outdoor music scene in Newburyport is something I care a lot about, and I think everyone's kind of looking forward to getting back to that with the weather starting to change, getting into the spring, into the summer. I mentioned outdoor dining. You accompany that with some great outdoor venues for music, and again, it makes for a great spring and summer here in Newburyport.
Definitely does. It's funny because I think the first show I ever had you on, we actually talked about that. I think maybe some musicians actually introduced me to you maybe the first time.
Oh, right.
Because there's some good ones here in Newburyport, but and they also does it. I know we have some great venues here, but do you almost want to see more of it in Newburyport?
Absolutely.
Like you go to like Portsmouth and stuff. I mean, you can't go into a place without music.
A lot of that's on creating those spaces, I guess, and making sure that they're available for people to use. But then I think like, places like the Grog or Port Tavern or places that used to have outdoor music, or, live music, I should say, not just outdoor music, but live music on a regular basis. I mean, I think we hope, especially, a couple years after COVID, that we could start getting back to that and seeing that a little bit more.
Yeah. The Grog without music is a whole new world for me, right? Vicky was saying that too, actually.
Yeah. So I was at a thing yesterday in Lynn, and someone came up to me and mentioned it to me. So I mean, I think especially historically, these historic places that have had music for so long, I hope we get back to it. I mean, I think you can never have too much of that in Newburyport.
Okay, so it's a good bringing together thing.
Yep.
The COVID outdoor dining on the streets, that seems to just be a hit.
It's been very, very positive. The state has come down with a little bit more, more regulations around it, so it has been a few more hoops for the restaurants who wanted to do that this year to jump through. But everyone that I've talked to have just been incredibly positive. They think it's incredibly worth it. I mean, you think about these restaurants that have really limited seating capacity most of the year, and then this allows them to be able to serve more people and everyone outside, and kind of gets that European feel of outdoor dining and experience. So I mean, I think it's great. I mean, if we could do it more, I would say let's do it. But right now we are taking parking spaces away from downtown, so I think we do have the right amount. And I was worried this year if we were going to have more apply for them than we actually have, because we have 11 parklets now. But that didn't happen. So it was pretty much the same group of restaurants came out and asked for it again. Except then there was one, Mission Oak, who decided not to do it, and then someone on Pleasant Street picked up that one. So I think we have the right amount right now, and I think we're still kind of feeling it out year to year as far as what we want to do with it. But it's been really positive so far.
Everybody is, right? I mean, look at the fight in the North End right now.
Right.
It's like, and that's obviously we all know the North End streets of Boston. That parking is impossible. Right. I don't feel it as much like in Newburyport. It doesn't feel like, I mean, obviously you took away some parking spots, but it doesn't feel like it's changed to the.
I don't think so either. Yeah, it's been safe so far. Knock on wood, we've.
That's a big thing too, right? I mean,
safety is an issue. They're very busy streets, and when you're narrowing them at all, it can. And then again, taking parking away. So no, it hasn't been an issue yet. Like I said, it's just been it's been so welcomed by everybody, which has been great.
Yeah, there's nothing like being outside on a nice night here.
Sure.
In Newburyport. Again, the Mayor, Sean Reardon, joining us here. Is everything okay with the gas line down there? I was getting my coffee. It seemed like they were doing crews everywhere working hard on the streets.
As far as I know, State Street is finally done. They had it. It was supposed to be done a few weeks ago. They had a little interruption when they were doing the work. So I mean, the plan all along was to get done by the end of April and then have parklets out by the beginning of May. So that would be this week. So I think we're going to start on Pleasant Street this week, getting some of the parklets out. But they should be done National Grid on State Street with the work, and now they're working on Middle Street a little bit. And unfortunately, we're not going to be able to repave State Street till probably the very, very end of this year or the first thing next year is State Street. But they, what's nice is when National Grid gives us money to pave the street, which is great. So it really helps us, get more bang for our buck with our other paving in the city.
Yeah, I was watching that's real work, I say.
Yeah,
they go to town there.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate they've been great to work with, and I know that was tough on the businesses, but the idea was let's get this done now. We're not doing it in the height of the season. So
yeah, I mean it's there's no real down season for walking around Newburyport, though, is there? I mean it's such a great walking city. We have all these venues. It feels like to me. So many, whether it be the firehouse or even just like the bars down on the strip or whatever, the restaurants and all these places. It seems like there's a post-COVID, everybody just wants to be out.
Yeah, no, I felt that last year too, but I mean, I think it'll be even more so this year. You're one more year removed. We had kind of a mild winter, but I think once the weather starts to change, I think we're going to have, a lot of people out, and I think we'll have a lot of people visiting Newburyport this year as well. So,
do you ever know how many people visit? Is there a way to tell that?
Oh my goodness, I do think we have data on that. I don't know off the top of my head, but we just went through this. It's called SEDS, but it was a comprehensive economic development strategy with some consultants, and they took data on those types of things. So it was a lot around what kind of things we bring in for tourism, around jobs, and they've given us now an action plan that actually they just shared with us the other day that we'll be talking about soon. But it kind of gives us some action steps as a community what we can do to help drive drive local business and economic development in the city.
It's a conversation that we're from Danvers, if you remember correctly. All my high school guys we always used to go to it was just natural to go to Beverly or Salem for us. Well, why didn't we? It's the same distance to go. Why did we never hang out here? And
Beverly used to have
it is, but and Salem's great too. But it's just we never mixed it up, and it was like
and Salem's come a long way too. I would say recently.
It is, but to get to Salem is just. It's not like it's not like any shorter. It's just as long to get here from Danvers. It feels like longer, but it's not. It's an easy. I don't know. That's a conversation my buddies and I still have. Why didn't we do that more? On a sad note, you and I both lost somebody that we knew very well, Coach Jim Stalin.
Yes.
I know you and I did a football game here this winter from the stadium named in his name. I didn't realize how sick he was, and I didn't. Last time I had seen him, he was sharp as could be.
Yeah.
90 years old. What a loss for the community.
Yeah, no, and it was funny that coming right after, former Mayor Byron Matthews dying. Talking about two giants that were really instrumental in that same time period.
Yeah.
So Coach Stalin came in 1964, and Byron Matthews was on the city council then, but then 1968 to 1978, ushers Newburyport into this massive transition downtown and urban renewal. But at that same time, Jim Stalin brought so much to his role at the high school as a teacher and coach, but just that community pride in your school, play with class, play the right way, leave it all on the field. That was just all him.
Yeah.
He has such a way to connect with you without raising his voice, and just, even at the end, at his 90th birthday party at the park lunch, he pulled, I went down and did a proclamation for him. But
I remember you were going to do that.
He made sure to pull me aside for a second and asked about me, asked about the job, how was my family doing, and he actually sent me a little note right after I had won the election too. So he was just thoughtful that way, and it's amazing. He was the one that I said, I texted his son after I heard, because I knew he was in the hospital for a while, so we knew that this was coming. But he just had such an impact over generations of kids, right? So, he coached up into the 80s, and then he moved over to the athletic director chair. But he's just someone that always commanded so much respect when he walked into the room. And my dad was a coach at that time.
Yeah.
My dad had so many nice things to say about the support he got from him as being a young coach coming up, coaching basketball and tennis and a few other things at the high school. So, it was sad, but God, 90 years, what a great life and what a legacy he's left. And it's wonderful that field will be named after him forever up at the high school. But
did you ever get a sense how much that meant to him?
Well, hearing it from his family, it meant everything to him. That was just again such a personal tribute really to have it come from all the players that he coached from. They really rallied to get this done. They approached the Institution for Savings to get this get this naming happening, and it was such a great event that night too. I think everything that we did around that was done the right way. So it's just again, it's just a touching tribute to a really great man.
Every time I would ask him about that, he would always use it to turn that into talking about somebody else or somebody, or other great players. He remembered players and.
Well, I joked after this because he was always the one. I'm on the Wall of Fame committee here at the high school too. So he's always the one that presented everybody. He'd go up there with no notes, just talk, and it was amazing the recall and what he could talk about, stories and whatnot. And then really every funeral I've been to that was involved with someone from Newburyport the last few years, he was always the one that went up and did the eulogy, and he knocked it out of the park every time. He was just so good at that. And again, being mayor now, and I'm trying to get better at that, right? Speaking off the cuff and just being able to speak as eloquently as he did. I mean, he just had a gift for it.
Yeah, I mean he was in this Thanksgiving. We would have him in for the Thanksgiving show every year, and he was good enough to always do it. And I mean, even he was sharp as could be. And
he was right up until the end. It's funny. I had a couple people who went up to see him in the hospital in the days before he died, and they said he was sharp right up until just recalling stories and just leaving them with some great takeaways as far as their relationships and things like that.
One final one on Coach Stalin. The day that we had him in, we were doing I think we had a couple shows we were doing before the holidays, and this will give you an idea what kind of guy he was if you don't know him. He armed military guy, served the country, kind of did things in that way. I had like a rock star piercings guy come in, the long hair, the leather jacket, was doing this show afterwards. Great guy. Both of them are. But just two very different people. And like you might look at these people and go, wow, they're going to be on the same show. How are these two going to get along? And these two were out there talking for 10 minutes. The guy was from Indianapolis, I think it was. And he goes, oh, you ever been to whatever in Indianapolis? I'm like, really? We know that commonplace? And and the guys go, 90 years old, you look great, And so
that's funny.
It's just, for me, it was very rewarding to see.
Oh, sure. He was just that type of guy. He could really connect with anybody.
Yeah.
He was great with people.
Those two different worlds connect. Yep. But yes, rest in peace, Jim Stalin, and the best to the family as well. And it's never easy, but he was a good man to the show and a good man to me. So I just wanted to make sure I said that at one point here. As far as what is the pressing issue on your plate here? I mean, obviously it's budget, but as you look towards like the summertime, I remember last year we talked so much about like water safety, and I mean, it was a tough year in that regard. I remember. But,
and God, they just had that tragedy the other day out of Hampton before fishermen. So that's always top of mind. Luckily I have a wonderful harbor master in Paul Hogg and a great team. So we'll be very.
Paul's back around for another summer.
That's right. Back around.
Yep.
We'll be very.
My camera keeps drifting on me. Thank you, Sarah. I'm trying to watch it.
Yeah, I know. So that's always top of mind. But early in the year, I had my State of the City, and I kind of laid out the priorities for the year. So again, we'll be really focused on budget, and some of those priorities you'll see in the budget conversations we have. Newburyport Youth Services is still trying to move forward. So we've got we got approved for the money for design. We just picked an architectural firm the other day, EGA Architects, who was already working with us in the conceptual design. So now they're going to move over. They got the bid for the full design, and the idea is hopefully towards the end of the summer or into August we'll get 100% design for this building on 59 Low Street, and then I will approach the City Council again to get support for the funding. So that was my number one priority this year. And then again, projects like Market Landing Park, we've got the Bartlett Mall, we've got the Bulkhead project. We just finished the dredge out in Plum Island, which was an ongoing saga for the whole year. But now we've got 200. No, it was a little less than 200,000 cubic yards of sand and 400 feet of beachfront that wasn't there before, which is great. So just kind of managing all these projects, I would say, is another big part of the year, and making sure that these can kind of go off without a hitch and finish on time and on budget. That
dredging stuff, I mean, it's safe to say that's obviously a Band-Aid, right? Because you're just trying to buy time.
Sure,
But what is like it's impossible not to drive through Plum Island and not look at those houses and go, I wonder how much longer they have. I mean, we've lost so many already. It's what do you see when you look at those places?
Well, you're right. It is a Band-Aid, right? And for the people that live out there, this is a big, exhale, especially that Reservation Terrace area. With barrier islands, you do something in one area, it's probably going to affect another area of the island. So, the big thing was getting through this dredge, and hope, we were still unsure until they actually got the sand out there if we were going to have enough. So, luckily, the 180,000+ cubic yards of sand was enough, and they got all the way down from really 69th to 77th Street. So again, that's a big exhale for the people that live there. Now the next step is, working with our state partners and our federal partners, and to work with the Army Corps on looking at that jetty. And all this was a result of what they did to the jetty. This was a man-made effect, causing the water to come in and swirl like that. So we have federal money that we were able to secure last year through Senator Markey and Senator Warren. So now we're already having those conversations with the Army Corps, and they've already started the work on this study that should give us some sort of longer-term solution about what we can do to the jetty itself, whether that's adding a gyre or there's a couple different things. So I'm learning about all of these things as well. We had a really productive meeting. We got to go down to Concord, Mass. at the Army Corps headquarters a couple weeks ago, and I went down with Senator Tarr and Representative Shand and some local people here in Newburyport, and had some really good first conversations. And they had actually already got a head start because they're using a lot of the studies from the past too. So I think we're starting in a good spot. We're not starting from scratch, which should hopefully shave off a year or two off of the timeline of as they go this. Because I would say in another 5 years, unless we have a dredging project lined up, we'll be in the same boat again. That sand will continue to disappear. So so it's never easy. Like you said, it's a Band-Aid. So now we've got to get to a more permanent solution.
Sometimes I'll be on Plum Island, which is it's another great little
Plum Island's great.
It's unique. It's got its own character. I've actually heard several people referred to as it's like the mayor of Plum Island there. So I don't know what kind of where you stand in that regard, but he's like the mayor. You have anything you need to get done, go talk to him. And I'm like, I don't know who he is, but okay.
Well, I will say the Plum Island people are really wonderful, and they take so much pride actually in just living out there, especially the people that have been out there for a long time. So it's been great to get to know them, and I know it's not always easy. Like especially with this dredging project. This wasn't a Newburyport City project. This was a federal project that they were doing to clear the federal navigation channel. But then we were trying, hoping that we were going to get the sand to replace on the beach. So sometimes it's tough, because there are so many entities down there, whether it's DCR on the state or you're dealing with your state delegation or you're trying to get the federal partners involved. There's so many different pieces that you're trying to navigate. But at the end of the day, my responsibility is to the residents of Plum Island, and so I try to do whatever I can for them.
Yeah, and they put on their own little entertainment scene too. They have the
Plum Fest.
They have concerts on the beach sometimes.
Alex Anthony and those guys down there. Usually Thursday beach jam.
Yeah. You've done one or two with us.
I've been out there once, but I wish I could get out there. Thursday's like my busy night at City Hall, unfortunately. But I had been out there in the past. It's a good take. You always get a good crowd.
You don't get to see that in too many places.
No, it's great. And I think that just organically grew over time too, right? And now it's like such a destination thing to do on a Thursday night if you can is to get out there and listen to them.
It is kind of a unique. I don't think every city, Plum Island is a very distinct spot, but Newburyport as a whole, I don't think every city is as. I don't know. It seems like there's roadblocks on a lot of those things in other places, and Newburyport seems to be very good about let's try it, let's see if it works, and a lot of times it does. I kind of liked that vibe that Newburyport always gives off.
Yeah, and I think you should be open to do that with most things, right? I think it's worth giving things a try and not making it hard, and then you can always change it if it's not working. So
When I was a kid, I used to say in Danvers they used to find a way to fight about literally everything.
Yeah, I'm sure that's most streets though. Like I got my mayor's meeting tomorrow. I meet with all the mayors once a month, and it's funny going there, and they're really the only ones that can relate to what you're going through, right? And it's funny listening to our stories.
Are there mayor therapy sessions?
It's somewhat. I think it really is therapy, is what it is. But it's funny. As bad as you think you have it sometimes, or good, you can always hear another story from someone else who's either going through something similar or it's in a much more difficult situation. So it's nice having that that group to be able to bounce things off of.
Since taking over the gig, is there a mayor who has become particularly close to you? Or?
I've actually really enjoyed. So Kim Driscoll, before she became LG, was she called me. I think
former Salem mayor.
Former Salem mayor. She called me maybe the night after I got inaugurated, and she was a great contact. That whole first year, and it was wonderful watching her go through. I got to see her yesterday, which is great. But she's doing such great things in the LG's office. Brian Arillo out of Revere, who just left and just became the head of DCR, which is great because it would be nice to have that connection to DCR because we work with them so much on Plum Island in particular. But he was a great resource, and I actually like some of the mayors who started when I did too. So like Greg Virga in Gloucester, we both started at the same time. So every time we get to these meetings, it's nice kind of comparing notes. And Jim Forentini has been great. Cassandra Gove has been awesome in Amesbury. So it's nice. Everyone has just been so willing to help out. And again, they're the only ones that can really listen and understand what you're going through. But then if you have an idea, it's great to bounce it off someone like that too, and say, hey, look, I'd like to try this, or what have you done around mental health in your community? Like, do you have any ideas? And things like that are great.
We don't dive too far into the politics usually when you're on, but you do happen to come on here on a day when President Joe Biden announces that he will be looking for a second term. What do you make? What do you hope for the? I'm not asking you to make any endorsements. But what do you hope for the country in another big campaign season here as we look ahead?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm ready for it. I'm like focusing on this.
It seems like there might be some storylines.
Yeah, there'll be some storylines. Yeah, I honestly haven't thought much about it. It's so early for it. For me, so this is the city council election this year locally. So I'm hoping a lot of people come out locally and run for school committee and city council. I mean, we certainly would love to get more people involved. I'll do a quick plug for my May 4th. I'm doing a boards and commissions open house at City Hall as well from 6 to 7:30 upstairs in the auditorium, where all residents can come in and learn about these important boards and commissions, these volunteer boards that we have here in Newburyport that play such a vital role. So, yeah, presidential election, it's too far away from me. But I mean, honestly, I'd be a little, I wouldn't be, truthful if I said I was a little discouraged that it looks like it could be another Biden-Trump race. I don't think that's good for the country, but
it did get it. It was a little interesting last time. Yes.
Yeah.
There is something too. I don't know about the. I don't know. It seems like I remember there was this like commercial during the Super Bowl a couple years ago, and I was like, that's like a good. It was revolving around the middle ground or something. Like it was a political, probably a car commercial or something. But I remember thinking like, there's very little of that. Like even in my own life, it seems like people are so.
One or the other.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. I guess I like to think of myself as more, or at least hope people don't know. I don't try not to show my cards too much, but it seems like the country's very, you either have Kid Rock or.
Yeah, and I think that trickles down. Like, even at the city council level, I have to work with the city council, and I've had my successes and failures working with them. But I mean, sometimes that can be so extreme too. Like, it's hard to get 11 people on the same page.
Yeah.
For a small town, like a small city like Newburyport, to have 11 people representative, I mean, it's a lot.
Yeah.
I look at other communities that are much bigger than us that have smaller, city councils that they have to work with.
It's small, but it doesn't necessarily make it easier, right?
No, it doesn't. I would say it makes it tougher because, we're a city, but, we have all the same responsibilities as a much larger city, and we don't get the funding that those bigger cities do. We have our own water supply. We actually supply the water for Newbury and West Newbury as well, which, that's a big focus of the administration. We have these massive water projects, infrastructure projects on the horizon, and finding a way to do that. And when you're talking about projects in the $15, $18 million, range, how does a small city like Newburyport, prioritize and do some of those things? And they really can't do it without federal and state help.
Yeah.
And sometimes a community like Newburyport doesn't get those things because we're looked at as such a nicer community, I guess, and we're fighting for the same dollars.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't think people always think of it that way, but it makes a lot of sense. Mayor Sean Reardon joining us. What are you doing for fun these days? What's the hobby?
Well, so it's getting nicer out. So I've actually got out and hit some tennis balls with my daughter.
Okay.
My daughter's a freshman. She's on the JV tennis team, which is nice.
Exciting.
And it's awesome because I grew up playing tennis. My dad was a big tennis player. But it's nice my daughter's at the age now that I can actually go out and hit with them.
Yeah.
It's not just like, the balls are flying all over the place. And we have some beautiful new courts down at the middle school. So it's been nice checking those out. I am in desperate need of just getting back into some more physical activity. I just haven't been doing that, and I just have a hard time finding the time, but I've got to make the time in the morning. So still shooting hoops when I can. I sneak in the gyms when I can just to shoot some baskets. But it's nice, again, the weather's changing. It's nice being outside with the family and, just keeping busy.
And pickleball has taken over the world.
I know. My kids are all playing. So we do have pickleball. I haven't played a ton, but,
me neither, yeah.
But I like pickleball because you can still hold a beverage in one hand and I can still play. So, but no, I like it.
Did you see the story out of Needham?
No.
It could be like an adult who did it. Apparently there was so for people who don't know, we're tennis players. So if you're playing, like a lot of the pickleball players will play it on a tennis court, and you can set up 2 nets on one tennis court, or like pretty much 2. But like you'll also have a lot of people sitting out, and they'll rotate through for pickleball. It's just how they do it. So you can have 30 people on one tennis court.
Yeah.
And that does not necessarily sit well with tennis people all the time, It's loud, they're loud, it's just taking up space. People want to play tennis, get off the tennis court. So there was an issue in Needham, and the other day the pickleballers woke up to go to play their pickleball, and the nets had been cut and ripped, and so somebody got very angry in Needham, and police are involved. And
honestly, that's still an issue we're kind of struggling with here in Newburyport. That's one of my, I guess, quieter goals this year is to find a place I can put 4 pickleball courts. because I do think we have such a limited supply of tennis courts as it is. It's so great that those knock courts that hadn't been used in 30 years were done over and made full size. And like I said, they're the nicest courts we have in town now at the middle school. And then our courts up at Atkinson, we have 3 courts up there, but there's huge cracks. I mean, I just had the DPS work on them this week, so they should be able to be used. And they're scheduled to be resurfaced later this year after the season. So with so few courts, when you do have pickleball people taking up courts or a basketball court that kids would typically want to play, I always get calls like that. People are upset that they're being taken. And pickleball should be able to be played somewhere. So that's my goal. I want to find some place I can put 4 pickleball courts.
And that's not just because I brought it up. That's actually
no. That's that we've been thinking about it. I mean, I have a couple different places in mind, but it's just hopefully I can get on board with it. But these areas that are used for other things, it's sometimes difficult to introduce pickleball into them. And we have a huge pickleball community here that just wants to play.
Yeah.
And I think it's great that the Racket Club stepped up and put up some. But I mean, I think we should have some public courts as well.
And I know they have issues there too, though. Just I know I've talked with them over there, and
sure.
We see some people that are in the club and they're saying, "No, we couldn't get a time." Now I know why we couldn't get a time.
Yeah.
So it happens everywhere.
Yep. No, it is, and it's such a growing sport, and more people are jumping on board. So, hopefully the city can step up and find some space for them.
We don't need any vandalism. Need them now.
No more. No. Take care of us. Things cost money.
It is. I joke about it because people ask me, "You should play pickleball," and my answer to that is, I always say, "Why?" And I play tennis, and it has nothing to do with pickleball. It's just I have only a certain amount of time,
right?
And I play tennis. If I'm going to use that time, I'm going to play tennis.
Yep.
But I have nothing against pickleball. Like I always think my grandmother, she passed away in like her mid to late 80s. But I think she was like 87 or something. And at like 80, she played tennis almost up to 85.
Oh, wow.
And in those later years, it wasn't, it was more just get out there and hang out with your friends. But I mean, she was still out there doing it.
Yeah.
And as soon as she couldn't do that anymore. Like we saw the
decline.
Yeah. So I'm like, maybe if there was pickleball, maybe that was something she would have kept going, So I completely get it. You don't have to be 80 to play. That's not what I'm saying. I'm going to get attacked for this. People are very sensitive on this issue. It's not, but yeah, it's it's great. It's just I do. It's only so much space in the world, right?
Yep.
You probably had that battle on a lot of fronts.
A lot of fronts. A lot of different things.
How's Dad doing? It was nice to call some basketball games with him this year.
That's right. Nope, yeah. Dad's great. Dad and Mom were down in Florida for a little bit, but they're home, and it's just great. Great having them in town.
Yeah, it's the time everybody comes back from Florida, right?
Yep.
Very good. They playing pickleball?
My dad has played a little bit, but he hasn't. But he's getting back out and hitting some tennis balls with the grandkids, which is great.
Still doing the tennis.
My dad's a big biker. He's out on his bike every day, and then he'll try to hit some tennis balls when he can.
I'm going to take up biking again. When I was in Florida, I was Fort Lauderdale. I was taking the rental bike around there, and I was like, I think I forgot how much I enjoy being on a bicycle.
I know, right? Yeah. You think about it, when you were a kid, that's all you did when you were on your bike.
And you get a car.
And you get away with it a little bit. Right.
Yeah, no, I think I'm going to take up biking again. It's very good. All right, well, as you can see, we cover all sorts of ground here, ending with pickleball and biking with Mayor Sean Reardon. Always appreciate your time, Mayor. It's great of you to come in, and we'll do it again. We won't not make it as long this time.
Yeah,
it seems like it's been a while.
Let's make it sooner. All right, thanks, Drew.
Good luck with the budget and all that stuff.
I appreciate it. Thanks, Drew.
Thanks to Sarah Hayden, Sarah Blackstone, May Power. We always appreciate your good work. My name is Drew Moholland, live at Drew's house. We'll see you next time. Peace.